Hello and welcome back to another in-depth character analysis for the characters from my book, The Head, the Heart, and the Air, my debut novel that came out in June of 2022. So, last week we talked about Aaron, and the week before we started with Alex, the main character in the novel. And this week we are going to start talking about Stefan Waffner. I will put a very nice picture of Stefan here for you. Big picture. So, Sir Stefan Waffner is from Dayton. He is 23 years old at the beginning of book 1, compared to Aaron's 20 and Alex's 16 turned 17 halfway through the book. So he's the oldest of their group of friends, and he is the oldest of a family of 7 children, but more on that later. So basics, his birthday is December 22nd, his favorite color is brown, and his favorite food is rabbit stew. You'll notice that Stefan and Michael and Alex's favorite foods are rather simple because they grew up in the woods of the dark forest, whereas the other characters grew up in the middle of the kingdoms and with more money, like in the palace, that kind of thing. So their favorite foods tend to be a lot fancier. Now, Stefan was born in Dayton. He is the oldest son of General Waffner, which is Dayton's general and the highest positioned knight in the entire kingdom of Dayton, Emmerich's right-hand man, the guard who raised and protected Aaron his entire life. Stefan's personality is very much like his father. He has his dad's temperament, his dad's behavior, his dad's skill, but one of the things he does not have from his father is his father's ability to trust people. When Stefan meets somebody, he will decide whether or not he deems them to be friend or foe, but even if he thinks they're probably friend, he remains suspicious and cautious of them and does not tend to give people a chance easily, because his entire life from the age of 12 on was protecting Alex, and even as an adult, his entire role in life is protecting Alex. So because he's always been so protective of her, he's incredibly suspicious of other people. So Stefan was born in Dayton. He is, as I said, he is the oldest of 7 children. When Alex vanished and all of that whole stuff went down, Stefan was 12 compared to Alex's almost 5. So when he left at that point, he already was more skilled than the average squire, than any squire, and even newer knights. The reason being is that in Dayton, typically knights were not like squires and that weren't trained until they were like 7 or 8 years old, but because Stefan was the son of the general and the oldest son at that, he had been following his father and mimicking him since he could walk. And because Stefan had such an initial talent with this sort of skill, his father encouraged and started teaching him at a very young age. So because of that, Stefan actually, when he vanished at 12, he was, as I said, better than any squire and better than some of the junior knights because he'd already been trained so in depth by his father. He could already fight, he could already ride, he could already completely take care of a horse, run a stable, do all these skills that a normal boy or squire would not be able to. And so when he went into the woods with Alex, he had an amazing skill set that not only allowed him to fit in with the boys in the woods and become incredibly useful at the camp so that they would desperately want Stefan and Alex to stay, but had a skill set that allowed him to be protective of Alex, but also to teach her and the boys at the camp. So when Alex showed up with this blood-covered Michael a year later and was like, I want to keep him, Stefan kind of looked him up and down and was like, this scrawny boy, all right, fine, whatever. We'll keep him, I'll train him, and if I get him trained young, I'll know that I can trust him with you. And so they accepted Michael, they took care of Michael. Stefan's skill set is also the reason that he became the second in command so young at the camp. He was 12 when they arrived. By the time he was 14, he was Ian's right-hand man. So Ian is the one who runs the mill in town in the prequel book, and he is a former head of the group that Alex and Stefan and Michael grew up in Kirsch. So because he was like the oldest brother for the longest time, Stefan became his second in command very young, and because of that, he always trusted Stefan. It was really great for Alex and Michael because they got a lot of freedom being the younger siblings of the in-charge guy kind of thing. Now, his parents were Jerome Waffner, obviously, and Ginevra. As I said, he is the oldest of 7 children. Jessica, his sister, was the oldest daughter, but between her and Stefan was another brother, Ryan. Stefan's actually so old that he was closer to Prince Daniel's age than Prince Aaron's age, so he actually knew Daniel better than he knew Aaron and the time when everything kind of went down. His favorite childhood memory, especially at the camp, was beating Ian in fighting and training, and also training Alex, because she had a physical ability that not all of the boys had, such as like balance and stamina. He enjoyed training her because he was able to push her in a way that he couldn't necessarily push the boys, because he didn't know as much what they were capable of. And his best friends are Alex and Michael, even though he'll never admit it and always says he doesn't have friends. And his secrets, like obviously his choice of weapon is his sword. He can use a bow, he can use his fists, but he always prefers his sword. Unless we're talking about a certain prince, in which case he would prefer his fists, because he's not allowed to permanently harm him. And his big secret that very few people know about is his mother was a brilliant linguist and spoke several Taurian languages, so he actually started learning Betruger at a young age. And while he's not fluent in it, he knows enough that he can kind of hear what the knights around are saying if there were Betruger people around. So very few people know this, but it is a secret talent of his. Now, we've gone around and asked all of the characters, or at least in a previous interview, I asked characters who their ideal partner would be and what they're looking for, and Stefan's answer should not surprise you, because he is adamant he will never get married. His job and his entire life has been dedicated to protecting Alex. Daniel assigned him this duty when he was only 12, and even though they've come back from Kirsch, Alex has been found, she's protected now by generals and everything. He is not going to leave her side, and it doesn't matter that he's Dayton and she's Warren. He will protect her until his last breath, and so he has absolutely no intention of getting married. His sister can just give Wagner to one of her children after she's married. They will follow in Jerome's footsteps. He is going to be at Alex's side, making sure she is safe her entire life, because his biggest fear in life is that something will happen to Alex, that he's going to fail Daniel when he asked him to take care of her, and that something horrible is going to happen to Alex, or he's going to fail Dayton by failing to protect Alex. So this is his biggest fear in life, so clearly he's not going to do anything to jeopardize that. But all around, Stefan is very much the protective older brother. He's very tough, he's very strong, but he's also very much the older brother in the sense that he is a big teddy bear. Michael and Stefan together are everything that Alex needs, in the sense that Stefan physically has always protected her. Michael is in charge of emotionally protecting her, and so when necessary, Stefan is a very kind and loving brother to her, and so he can be gentle, he can be sweet, but he's only ever showing that side to Alex. So he's kind of one of those big teddy bears where he roars and growls and swipes at you with these gigantic claws, but Alex sees the soft cuddly side of him and always has. So when people are like, Stefan's so cold and he's this and that, she's like, nah, he's just a fluffy teddy bear, and everyone thinks she's lost her mind. But so Stefan is one of my favorite characters for that exact reason, that he is a protective older brother. He is so much fun to write about, with his fiery red hair and his snarly personality that I know is secretly hiding a heart of gold. So thank you for stopping by and learning more about the fabulous Stefan, and make sure you join us next week. We're going to talk about Michael.